We're joined today by musician Regina Zernay. We're talking about her latest album, High Rolling. Regina, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, how's it going, Dustin?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on your show. That's awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining me, and I'm excited for your new album here, High Rolling. Can you tell the listeners a bit about it? What are we in for?
Oh, sure. Well, the record's really like a modern take on classic rock and roll that's fronted by a female singer like Joan Jett or Pat Benatar or Hart. And it veers off into things like you can hear the grunge and blues and alternative elements, but really it's just a rock and roll record, something that, you jump in your car and drive to or work out to for like a long trip to Vegas or something like that.
Well, I know you've been all over the world with other bands over your career. And is this the first time you're releasing a solo album?
Yeah, it is. It is, actually. And I was a little nervous to do it. You're right. I traveled a lot as a bass player, played with CeeLo Green and Cowboy Mouth, and that was a lot of fun. And then when I got done with touring, my husband was kind of like bummed out that he wasn't with me for all of that. So I said, all right, you're joining a band with me. And I put together a band with him called Detroit Diesel Power. And that was great, but due to the pandemic, I lost my band. Things got busy. There were really no shows to play because everything was shut down.
Sure.
And I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I sat down and started writing the next Detroit Diesel Power record. And that at the end of it, my husband said, you know what, this is really your solo record. You should put it out as your own. And I talked to friends and said, well, I don't know. What do you guys think? And they said, yeah, go for it. So this is actually the first time I've put out a solo record without like a band name or anything like that.
Excellent. Yeah, it's definitely cool that you were able to make that happen. And I'm assuming your husband's playing with you on the new album. Who else is with you here this time?
Gosh, he played a couple of the tracks, but I did most of it remotely. So I found a service called Musiversal. They let you play with studio musicians all over the world. And that was a blast. And then I just reached out to anybody I had dreamed of playing with. I thought, if I can't play with my band, then why don't I make everybody my band? Like anybody that I'd ever dreamed of. And, I think maybe the crowning achievement or the thing that was like the biggest surprise was I reached out to Michael Beinhorn. He's one of my heroes. And, he's the producer of Super Unknown from Soundgarden. He's worked with the Chili Peppers, Hole, Weezer. And I thought, wow, it'd be a dream to work with him. And I just reached out and said, I really want to work with you. I've heard you're working with independent artists. And just pestered him until he said yes. I mean, he was great. And it really wasn't pestering. It was more like reaching out to him. And he was just open to it. He's open to working with people. And he was kind enough to say yes to me. And he gave us mix input over the course of like the last 6 months of mixing and doing the final production of the record. And it was incredible. I just can't even describe what it was like to work with someone like Michael, who is just, first, he's a great person. He listens to what you're doing, and he tells you the truth, but he's not mean about it. And he gives you information that you can immediately use. And when you meet your hero, sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to go. And then once in a great while, you meet your hero, and he turns out to be even more amazing than what you expected. And that's what happened with me and Michael Beinhorn. He's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, you would be a fan of the stuff he was doing around, the mid-'90s for sure. And I've always heard that he kind of really pushed the artist to maybe obviously you always want them to do their best, but he really kind of went above and beyond to really get something out of people that maybe they didn't even know they had.
That's exactly how it felt. He said, I'm just doing mix input. When you talk about my involvement with the record, it's mix input. But he's being modest when he says that. The information that he gives, like I said, he's very precise in the information that he gives you, so he's not going to give you a long diatribe, but he's going to be very specific about what it is that he hears and what he thinks. And sometimes the truth, it's tough to listen to, right? But he's not doing it in a way that comes from any like negative place. Some people tell the truth or their version of the truth because they're angling or they're playing games. That's not how he is. He's simply saying, this is what has to happen, or this is what I think should happen here. This is where you're going to benefit, these changes that you make. And that's how it happened. And there's something that happens in your brain when you know that you're working with someone like this. The producer, the person who was really like the primary producer, Patrick Burkholder, he's amazing too. Worked with him with a couple of records for Detroit Diesel Power. He's a Grammy winner. He even said this, you're putting this in front of Michael Beinhorn, so you just step up your game immediately. Before Michael's even said a word to you, you're listening more critically to what it is that you're going to be sending over to him. So you're putting your best foot forward from the moment it reaches him, and then to have Michael's input, then it just elevates your game all the way around.
Well, again, High Rolling is out here now, and Regina, are you going to be playing any shows this year or maybe next year for this?
Yes. So we have a Detroit Diesel Power reunion show on August 29th at the Viper Room, so it's this Friday. I've got a show coming up at the Mint, and we've been putting together various shows locally here in Southern California. In fact, I was going to ask you, are you a musician?
Well, I own instruments, but I've kind of let things go so far now. I don't know if I feel comfortable calling myself a musician anymore.
I think you're being modest. Are you part of the house band for your show?
Oh, yeah, that is me. Yeah, have you been listening to that?
I did check it out. Are you ready for the Sex Girls? Oh my God, it's like a not safe for work cheap trick. I loved it. I was like, oh, are you the bass player and singer?
Yeah, that was me. That's funny.
That is awesome. Well, I got to tell you, I love talking about music. I hope that we could talk a little bit about it. And I will say, if you ever want to play a show in Los Angeles, let me know. We'll work out a show together. If I ever find myself in your neck of the woods, I would love to play with you. And quite frankly, even your listeners, anyone who's interested in playing music, the goal for this is to have people listen to it and say, hey, I heard your record High Rolling. If you go to reginazernay.com, you can hear samples. It's available. If you sign up for the newsletter, I'll give you guys like a free download of one of the songs so you can check it out. You can get free tickets to a show. I just want to share this with everyone. And if anyone has questions, how did you do a remote recording? What was it like working with Michael? All of it. I'm just out to play with people and work with people. I'm always looking for musicians to play with. So Dustin, if you ever want to like get together and play, I am down. Even remotely. I'm all about remote rehearsals. I think that's where the world is going. So just please reach out to me, reginazernay.com. I want to talk to everybody about it. Let's make some music, guys.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll have to start practicing here and get my chops back up for that. But I appreciate the offer.
Stop. You're great. Come on now. Singing and playing is hard, and you knocked it out of the ballpark. So.
Well, I know you've been playing bass for a long time here. Can you talk a bit about that? Some of your influences and, some of the people who maybe brought you to that instrument?
Oh, sure. Gosh. Well, yeah. I was a big Duran Duran fan as a kid, and I knew that I wasn't going to meet them as a groupie. And I thought, well, the only way you could potentially meet your heroes is if you're maybe doing what they're doing. And I love bass. I started out playing piano as a kid. I tried to play guitar because I was just amazed by Heart. I love Nancy Wilson. But really, bass just was something that I gravitated towards, and it just fit. And I knew I wanted to do it. When you know you want to and you just got your mind set on doing it, then truly, it's out there. It's out there. I think people we're shamed into not wanting to be musicians. I don't know why that is. I see so many people who are gifted and talented at doing it, and then they get in their own way. And I think maybe somebody along the way, somebody who thought they were doing them a favor, said, "Oh, you shouldn't choose that as a career. You shouldn't do it because there's no money in it. You'll end up, poor on the street." There's always a risk of that, but you could do something that you totally love, and that could happen to you. So I just finally looked in the mirror one day and said, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And I was influenced greatly by folks like John Paul Jones, Ben Shepherd from Soundgarden, all of those amazing bass players that do the melodic and rhythmic and just gorgeous sounding bass lines. That was just the thing I wanted to do. And I did the thing that I would advise anybody else to do. I just played with everybody possible. I went out, went to shows, met people, talked to people who were doing it, talked to people who were doing what I wanted to do, asked for their advice. And, one thing tends to lead to another. And you never know where it's going to come from. Like for Cowboy Mouth, I just happened to go to Craigslist one day and look for female bass player. I had just gotten through a rehearsal and felt horrible about myself. I thought, I'm going nowhere. Maybe it's time for me to give up. My mom was actually having a conversation with me like, oh, maybe it's time for you to give up this music thing. And I thought, well, I'm just going to look and see if anyone's looking for a female bass player. And there happened to be an ad on Craigslist for Cowboy Mouth. I didn't know who I was reaching out to. I got the audition, and then suddenly, a few months later, I was touring and toured with them for 3.5 years. And sort of along the same lines, about 3.5 years into it, maybe about 3 years into it, I'd gotten married. I was out on the road for 6 weeks, And my husband had said, you know what, you're out on the road. This is not what I signed up for. You need to do something where I see you more often. And I said, okay, give me like some time. And I spent the time sort of putting feelers out to see if there were any opportunities where I would be home a little bit more often. And that's how I ended up getting the audition for CeeLo Green and going out and doing that. And if you listen to Cowboy Mouth music, you hear that they're like a very fun sort of like just a really like high energy audience participation type of band. And then if you look at CeeLo, that's like soul and R&B, but they both have that underlying theme of rock and roll. So I'd say if you're interested in playing music, go play and play anything that you like playing, and be willing to stretch out. You will gain from doing that. So there you go.
Yeah, and talking about playing with CeeLo Green, I mean, you were with him during a time when the whole country kind of had like CeeLo Green fever there.
Yes. It was unexpected, and it was a big surprise. Not quite sure what to say about it. There's the part of it where you're like, wow, I'm witnessing something amazing. You're witnessing the record label machine once they flip the switches on and say, this is the thing that we're going to be doing. And then also the opportunities. These are things that you dream of, like, oh my God, am I really going to be on Saturday Night Live? Are we really going to play Wembley Arena and open for the Foo Fighters? Are we really playing Madison Square Garden on stage with Prince, on the stage that's shaped like the Prince symbol? And you kind of pinch yourself, and you can't believe it's happening. And it was very, very special time in all of our lives, I think. But it was also, there were things that I wish I'd done without attention, more so. And I've been trying to make up for it now, trying to use any attention I get for music to shine a light on the things that matter, like doing charity shows, fundraisers. That's really what I think Spotlight is supposed to be used for. And that's been like my personal goal, and helping other people play music. So that's part of why I want to work with you and anyone who's out there like playing music. Get in touch. Like I said, I'm easy to reach. If you want to send me a message at reginazernay.com, please do so. Let me know if you want to do a fundraiser, want to do a charity event, or you need help like putting the word out there. And I mean, like, for your listeners, and I also mean you too, Dustin. You've got a gift, and the world should hear you play and sing.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that. And again, it's great. High rolling just out here. And I know you mentioned getting back together with Detroit Diesel Power. Is there anything else maybe you're working on we should be watching out for?
Gosh, you know what? That's the focus of my world right now.
Sure.
This record and getting people to listen to High Rolling, and like I said, just spreading the word and helping other people make music too. So I can't thank you enough for letting me talk with you. Dustin, I really want to work with you. So for you and your friends and your listeners, please stop by reginazernay.com. The new record High Rolling is out. I would love to have everyone hear it, and I'd love to work with anyone who's interested.
Awesome. Regina, it's been great speaking with you, and I'm digging the new album here, and thank you so much for the kind words and for taking the time out with me today. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, such a pleasure. Dustin, please keep in touch.
And again, that was musician Regina Zernay, and her newest album, High Rolling, is available now.